is anything but conventional.
Welcome back to MECH. It's nice to see y'all again. Wads is back again, and Wave 4 is here. I'm excited. I'm really excited. I hope you're excited too, because I'm coming at you with my first deck profile, and I think I'm going to be really excited to share this one with you. I hope you're ready for it. I know. I'm here to share this with you, and it is Sarge's Soundblaster. I was really excited when I read this. It kind of flew under the radar for me when they announced it, and it was one of those ones where, as I read it more, I kind of noticed that there was a lot of potential, and then all of a sudden I started reading a few cards from the set that I had overlooked at first, or I didn't really think much of, because there was a lot coming at us with a new set coming out, and I found a few things and some tech, and I am real excited to show this one for you. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it, and I'm going to start with the bots. Alright guys, so let's start out with the bot lineup. As you might have guessed, Soundblaster is our main cannon. I love him. He is 12 stars, 5 attack, 16 health, and 2 in alt mode. And then in bot mode, 6 attack, 16 health, 1 defense. Now his big thing is when he attacks, you get to pull a black weapon from your scrap pile. And that is really good. I mean, like, I got real excited when I started thinking about this, because those are our disruptor blades that have just been chilling since they came out in Wave 3. I feel like they really get to shine here, because he gets to just snatch those up. You don't even have to play one from your hand, which means I can play an armor, I can play a utility, I can just overall just make sure that I am absolutely taking full advantage of the fact that he can equip himself. And if they want to play sabotage armaments, guess what? When he attacks next, he gets a weapon back anyway, which is great. Now, I decided to pair him with Mudflap. 8 stars, 5 attack, 12 health, 1 defense. Flip him over to bot mode. We get 4 attack, 12 health, 2 defense. And I'll be honest, the skills here I'm not crazy about, but that's beside the point. Now, his bounty ability is when he KOs, you get to reveal the top card of your deck and play it. Now, that can be really good. You could flip over, I don't know, say that Pep Talk, get that +2 draw, or another weapon to drop onto somebody so you don't necessarily have to play one next turn, or one of your armors. And extra plays at no extra cost is fantastic. Now, on his other side, it just says when you flip to this side, plan 1. I'll be honest, I don't normally take advantage of that. There's not really an instance where I feel like I really need that. But you never know. I could run into a situation where I feel like I do need to plan. Maybe I need to stack that black pip so that that disruptor blade doesn't fall off, or I need to make sure I get that pierce. But as of right now, I don't feel a whole lot of need for it. So he'll chill in alt mode until I need to flip him. And normally I'll flip him over. The reason I elected for him, obviously I don't have Nightbird yet. That would have been my first choice. But I haven't had my sealed event yet, so I haven't had access to it. But I feel like he's not a bad secondary choice. He's ranged on both sides, which is real important. That ranged package is huge. Being able to play armed hovercraft and marksmanship makes this deck really function well. And then to fill out the last 5 stars, we have Flame War. And I know you're all familiar with this at this point. 5 stars. You've seen the stats on this. And of course, in bot mode, tough one to everybody. And being able to throw out that extra protection can be actually quite useful. And I really couldn't think of anything better for 5 stars to fill that slot out. And having 2 specialists on the team means if I really want to, I can take advantage of that specialist package. And that's pretty much where I went with it. I feel like it tests really well, and I'm looking forward to playing against the guys at our store. And that's pretty much all I have to say about the bot lineup. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into the actions. All right, for the actions, the classic start, we have 3 security checkpoints. I'm sure you're all familiar with that by now. They're double pips. Their effect is really good. Being able to suck up those extra upgrades from your opponent's hand is very useful. So, it's an obvious staple for this. Now, this is my favorite tech card for this. And I run 3 copies of Dual Wield. Now, the reasoning for that is obviously with Mudflap, I'm going to be able to actually use this to put a weapon from my scrap pile onto Mudflap, but more importantly, I'll be able to also use it on Soundblaster, because then I can play a weapon from my hand, and then when he attacks, he can pull that extra weapon from the scrap pile, and then I can alternate if I decide I want to keep. Oh, say I play, a Disruptor Blade and Energon Axe, I can opt to just let the Disruptor Blade fall off. That way, if they either scrap the Energon Axe or I get another dual wield, I can always pull the Disruptor Blade back from the scrap pile, and those attacks then can stack up to something quite big. Now, next up, I got 3 copies of Opportune Offensive. This is basically, for this deck of the new Leap into Battle, because I have the Mercenary, I mean, one of my Decepticons is going to get +3, but they also get Pierce 3, which means that someone like Flame War is now going to have, going to get that Pierce 3, and that's going to be huge. But also being able to just drop that on Sound Blaster, and it has the black pip and the blue pip. I mean, it's more well-rounded, and being able to play it in this deck works really well. Now we're also going to jump in. I've got 3 copies of Hidden Fortification. This is something that I feel works well right now, being able to have that tough 3 without having to use it in equipment. There's currently nothing that can scrap face down secret actions, and I feel like this is going to be a staple in a lot of blue decks, especially 3 of, because being able to just toss down a tough 3, boom, I mean, that's an easy choice for defense. Now, I'm also running 2 copies of Battlefield Report, and this is for a couple of reasons. One of it is for the extra draw power, and also to be able to stack the like the checkpoints or like the handheld blasters back on top of my deck. But the other reason is now I have a second secret action. Now when I set a secret action, they're not like, oh, that's Hidden Fortification, I know to not, waste a whole lot, or I have to swing super large. So they'll have to think twice about what's face down, because that Battlefield Report is more about function than about fortification. And honestly, I like being able to throw wrenches into people's thinking, having to make them think, oh, hey, maybe it's this. Oh, crap, maybe it's that. Now, I'll tell you guys right now, Sabotage Armaments isn't main decked right now. And I'm sure it will be at one point. But right now, the build just didn't call for it. All right, next up, I've got 2 copies of Brainstorm. I like being able to play 2 actions. Maybe this will work better long term. Maybe it just won't be useful long term. Maybe this will be what'll turn into Sabotage Armaments after I have a chance to sit down and play with other players. Because right now in testing, I mean, I find it's useful, but who knows? Maybe I'll change my mind later. I've got 2 copies of Leap into Battle, Classic +3, Blue Pip. I mean, this one's self-explanatory. When I'm making big swings with Sound Blaster, I want to be able to, I'll grab that Disruptor Blade. Oh, and now I got Leap into Battle. That's another plus. That's a +6 on top of his 6. I mean, that's an easy 12. That's a big attack. I got 2 copies of Pep Talk, Classic Draw 2. Not much to say about that. Everybody knows how this works, and everyone knows why I am running it. Now, I ran 2 copies of Steady Shot, and I know I could have just run 3 copies of Leap, but I wanted more black pips in here so I could have my smaller guys grab that Pierce, and being able to just drop a +2 can still be really helpful. And like I said, I know I could use more Leap in a Battle. I could run Sabotage Armaments to help protect my guys, but I felt like this was a stronger decision. And then last but not least, I have 2 One Shall Stand, One Shall Fall. I love the classic burn, and it's good for, I don't mind if I take the 3 damage, but I'm going to clear out your one guy so I can start swinging big with Sound Blaster into somebody I really want to put the screws to. So that's pretty much the actions lineup. So let's go ahead and talk about the upgrades. All right, let's go ahead and start off. I have 3 Handheld Blaster, and you all know this one. It is the classic staple for a blue deck. Double pips. The bold one's really not important in this one, but flipping them on defense is big. Now, I know you all know, because I talked about it enough, I've got 3 RR Disruptor Blades in here, and the +3 is great, but the fact that Soundblaster can just pick this up, I don't have to play it from my hand, is huge. He can make his attack large, and having 2 of those while using dual wield, because I can play one from my hand, and then also grab one from the scrap pile, means that he can swing big and swing big often. And then flipping over black pips means that it's going to stick. It doesn't necessarily have to fall off. But like say I have the Energon axe, again, if I don't flip that black pip, it's going to fall off anyways after the attack is done. So I don't mind that dual wield's effect is going to wear off and it's just going to go to the scrap pile because I can just grab it again next attack. All right, I got 3 copies of Crowbar. It's my other black pip weapon. It gives +2, and after the character with it attacks, it scraps itself. Now this one's slightly less functional, but there are very limited options for black pip weapons, and this was one that I was honestly very okay with running. It was better than some of the other choices. I didn't have any star cards, or I would just go with Indestructible Sword, so I went with Crowbar. And again, I could play another weapon like Energon Axe, and if Crowbar falls off, I can just pick it up next time if Energon Axe were to be scrapped, or I pick up a dual wield. Now, obviously, I'd be running the Energon Axes, 3 of them. Otherwise, I wouldn't be mentioning them quite so much. Classic, Pierce 2, +3 attack, blue pip. They go so well in so many decks, and they're going to be here to stay. I don't see them going anywhere until they decide if they're going to do set rotation, and since they have not decided to do that yet, I feel like they're going to be relevant for a long time. Now, I've got 2 copies of Armed Hovercraft. I only opted for 2 because I only have 1 ranged character. It's Mudflap. If he dies, the Armed Hovercraft doesn't have an effect. Otherwise, it's just a +1. Which, if I got dual wield, you know, Soundblaster can pick up that disruptor blade or a crowbar, and the Armed Hovercraft can just provide the static +1, but odds are if Disruptor Blade's going to stick because I flipped the black icon, the Hovercraft can just fall off. The other reason, too, is with dual wield, I can play an Armed Hovercraft from my hand, then play dual wield and pick up another one, and it's the same as playing basically a one-sided photon bomb. And I think that that is fantastic. I'm sure there's people out there that would disagree with me, but just having a little extra burn is important. That direct damage can make the difference between a kill and someone sticking around because they got that 1 health left. I got 2 copies of Sturdy Armor. I opted for that because obviously with 2 specialists, having that would be great. Ranged characters are very big right now. I found that melee characters don't have quite the same presence because the melee package just doesn't stack up to the ranged package. And between having marksmanship and armed hovercraft and now the javelin, ranged characters are just getting really good. And trust me, it's going to be something that you want to defend against. Last but not least, I have 2 copies of Sparring Gear, and it's your classic. I don't necessarily love the fact that I have an orange pip in here, but they are still really good. Tough 2 and being able to fish it is good. It helps a lot. It keeps people alive, and with the static tough 1 that Flame War is going to provide, it makes him very defensible. That's pretty much all I'm going to have to say about that. There's currently no sideboard for this deck. The only thing I have to say is I'm working on one right now. As far as the battle cards, I'm not 100% certain what I want in here, but I do know that if I'm going to side, it's going to be siding into Tall. And once I get my hands on Octone, he's going to be my sideboard character because he has a lot of function. If they're not running Mercs, I mean, he has that burn damage, plus he gets bigger stats, and if I'm running against someone where I just feel like a Tall deck is going to be more functional, it's going to bring the pain. That's pretty much all I have for you guys right now. Thank you for coming out to listen to me again. I appreciate all the support, and there will be more deck profiles coming down the line. I want to make sure you know that you are all awesome, and remember to make every card hurt.